are the Webbs, and we are going on an adventure around the United States.
This is our dad, Matt. He's a filmmaker. And this is our mom, Eva. She's a teacher. When our parents were growing up, they each had some pretty transformative experiences. Mom went to Mexico, and Dad went to Haiti. They both watched as their parents did medical work in some pretty poor areas. After college, they both went to Haiti to work. That's where they met. When we came along, they decided we needed a transformative experience too. We decided to go to all 50 states and meet people who are making a positive impact in their communities. And then we thought, I wonder if there are any kids making a difference. We started doing some digging to learn more about Generation Z. And the first young changemaker we found was Jack Andraka, a teenager from Maryland. He invented a faster, far cheaper test for pancreatic cancer than anything on the market today. His invention won the Intel International Science and Engineering Fair. He wrote a book about how he successfully made a change in the world and gained national attention on several news shows. Jack did all of this as a high school student. We thought, if Jack is just one out of millions of kids across America, what are the others doing to make the world better? So we immediately started searching for kid changemakers online, and their stories blew us away. However, we also learned that Generation Z faces many unique challenges that other generations haven't encountered before.
Compared to previous generations, they spend a lot more time communicating with their friends electronically, and they also spend less time hanging out with their friends in person.
You can be anything has come to mean you should do everything.
Even though they have the benefit of the latest technology and the most advanced research, they behave as though they don't have a clue. And they probably don't.
It's also linked to depression and anxiety and unhappiness. So the whole developmental trajectory is slowed down.
There is a pressure for a well-rounded teen to be good at everything. Everything is being labeled as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we simply can't miss out on.
The more we do sometimes, the more perfectionism we achieve or try to achieve, we can never be good enough.
That crushing pressure to be the perfect teenager is impacting our mental well-beings.
Kids today are so much more aware of what is happening in the world because of technology.
The deadliest mass shooting.
More than 30,000 people will spend the holiday.
In a recent survey, 70% of parents admitted
suicide
to
rate for teens is up.
It seems like climate change is happening faster than we thought.
A shooting at an elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut.
That started last night in Goleta, west of Santa Barbara.
Spend an average of 7 hours a day looking at screens.
Looking at the news, you can see that the world Generation Z is growing up in is full of challenges. The more you watch, the more hopeless you get. If this is our world, what can a bunch of tech-savvy kids with a short attention span do to make it better? Well, that's what we decided to find out. Discovering America's Changemakers excited our whole family, so we started preparing for the trip right away. We brought on a team of producers, reached out to lots of friends for advice, and started branding our dream as the 1-year road trip.
The idea for the trip is that we're going to take 1 year, probably more like 14 months, and we're going to see all 50 states in a year, and as we travel around the country, we're going to be collecting stories of children and families who are trying to do community transformation in their local communities, and kid-initiated things.
But even with all the help we got from our community, we still had so many questions and so much work to do. Our family really had to become a team to pull this off.
We've been making lots and 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 lots of lists.
The first thing we had to do was figure out how to downsize our family so that we could live in close quarters for a whole year.
Today we're going to downsize a bit.
These are my movies, our movies. We have many, and a lot of books too, so time to get rid of them.
Because because we have plenty of stuff that we don't really need anymore, and that's too small for us.
We're gonna feel so much lighter.
Downsizing was tough, but really good, and we learned it was a lot easier to give things away than it was to raise money.
I'm really excited for the Indiegogo campaign.
With Indiegogo, we have 30 days to try to reach our fundraising goal of $100,000.
But we have a long ways to go. In fact, the whole project, the whole big shebang is $200,000.
We had a big budget, but our biggest expense by far was transportation. That's when we found a beautiful 1985 Bluebird school bus that was already converted into an amazing RV.
This is the bus. Totally.
It looked like the perfect fit for a family and the adventure ahead.
If we buy a bus and it's totally empty, what kind of things do you think that you would really want in it?
A 4D theater.
I would like to have dinner in there, and breakfast, and lunch, an ice dispenser.
And our hot tub.
I would like to have shoes, and an ice cream dispenser. Barbies, peanut butter dispenser.
I'd really like some personal space.
Not only was it going to be the most expensive, it turns out it was also going to be the most frustrating.
I know this has been a little bit of a stressful couple of weeks, huh? What's been mostly on everybody's mind?
The bus. Probably the bus. Waiting for the check to come in.
Sunday afternoon, a family gave us a call.
The day before we had to get the money.
And they said that they had also in the past been in a situation where they didn't really know what steps to take next and where to go. And then out of nowhere, people who believed in them and believed in their projects came forward and helped them totally out of the blue. The next day, they wrote us a check for $20,000.
Yeah.
Hey guys, guess what?
What?
We got the bus.
Really?
Yeah.
For real.
Oh. Now I'm surprised.
Now that we had the bus, it felt like we could finally relax a little bit. We even got to throw a party to celebrate the bus with our friends.
The bus warming is happening, and it is packed with people and friends and good times. Thank you.
Things were going great. Buying the bus felt like we were really going to go on this road trip. Woohoo! Then things took a turn for the worse.
So yesterday, Zacuto donated $2,500 worth of camera gear to our project, which is awesome. But today, our bus broke down while Jack and I were taking it to the mechanic, which is not awesome. So the mechanic was going to look at something else. Hopefully they'll figure out this thing.
After 4 breakdowns and thousands of dollars in repairs, we had to face the facts. We could not take this bus on the road.
We're trying to trust God, and we don't know a lot of things, and it's scary because we don't know what's going to happen, but we do know some promises that God has given us, that He won't ever leave us.
The roadblocks seemed to just keep piling up the closer we got to our departure date, and the stress was getting everybody down. But then we reminded ourselves of why we even wanted to go on the road in the first place.
Could you imagine a future where every kid knew they could make a difference?
Can you imagine a future where every kid would unleash their full potential to change the world?
Remembering our mission, we began to think outside the box and worked harder than ever before.
Hey there, so we're here at Mike Thompson's RV sale. We're going to be picking up our trailer today.
Within weeks, friends donated a van for us to drive. We bought a small trailer, purchased our camera gear, and packed our bags. After over 2 years of preparing, our family finally hit the road to interview kids who are making the world a better place. And these are their stories.
Even with a surging stock market and low unemployment, homelessness is surging. and it is affecting regular working families.
A growing number of homeless people in the U.S. are children and teenagers. Some studies estimate there are between 1.6 and 2.8 million unaccompanied homeless youth across the country.
I mean, we ran out of money, and one day we just found ourselves sleeping in the train station.
There just needs to be more people caring, you know, like more people realizing the situation that we're in and that we're not all bad people.
Welcome to Rhode Island.
As we headed east, we met a number of kids helping the homeless. In Virginia, we got to interview Reshni Premaratne, the founder of X Out Homelessness.
All right, we're all good.
X Out Homelessness is a youth-led service campaign that is dedicated to raising awareness about and funds for the homeless. I started X Out Homelessness when I was 10 years old in 2009. In Sri Lanka, homelessness is very prevalent, especially in the villages where my grandparents live. Growing up here, I didn't see homelessness as much, but then I started to go to school. My middle school's in the city, and I was exposed to the issue of homelessness. Seeing that here, it really kind of opened my eyes to how big the issue is in the United States and specifically in my community. X Out Homelessness first started by, I went to a local organization in Richmond City called the Daily Planet, and I started by learning about the issue, by interviewing clients, by talking to them, by working with who's now my mentor, Ms. Sakirki, and then a few months later I came to her with this idea about bringing that conversation from Richmond City and from the Daily Planet into schools and into dinner tables and bringing it to students and to families so that, you know, all the youth in our area can become aware of this issue.
Yeah.
And so with her support, with the Daily Planet support, I guess that's where it really took off. It's really important to find that one thing that you're really passionate about and pursue that. You know, for any child or for any young adult that wants to make a difference, to really learn about the issue that they're passionate about and pursue opportunities to make a difference. And it's definitely possible.
Next, we headed to New Jersey, where we met Jeremy Garriga, the creator of Success.
On the first day of my volunteering journey at the Hoboken Homeless Shelter, I asked how could I help more. The director of the homeless shelter said that the most basic item that is overlooked yet the most needed is socks. We give our first batch of socks in the Hoboken shelter, and then we move around to other shelters that are in need. One of the main challenges when we first started is that some people didn't believe in Success. I presented the idea to the council. Mayor Fulop, who was councilman at the time, stepped up and said that we will be glad to put collection bins in certain locations. I would like to further expand Success into hopefully a nationwide thing. I want for the homeless to be able to think of Success as a source that they can go to for anything that they can need. Right now in college, I'm on the pre-med track, and I'm trying to do what I can to get into medical school. I am a volunteer EMT. Soon you're going to come to my ambulance corps, and you're going to see what I do there. I started at the age of 15. I was able to say that I was taking care of people and actually providing care at the age of 15. And to me, taking care of people, that's like the best thing in the world, especially when you can actually say that you've saved somebody's life. So this is why I enjoy doing what I do, and I want to become a doctor and help more people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
In Rhode Island, we got to interview Nicholas Lowinger, the founder of Gotta Have Soul.
When I was 5, I came up with the idea for Gotta Have Soul to give new shoes to kids in homeless shelters. And I saw that there were kids just like me, my age and a little bit older, who didn't have the same opportunities as I had, and a lot of that had to do with the kind of footwear they were wearing. After visiting a homeless shelter here in Rhode Island, I realized that the same need that's out there all around the world is even in our own backyard. At first, a lot of kids, they might come up with an idea, but they think that just because they're young people, they won't be able to actually do something about it. And I think that it's really important as a young person to follow through with those ideas, because that's how we really make the biggest impact in the world.
After only a few interviews on the road, it became clear that America's kids held incredible stories. However, our interviewing skills at the beginning of the trip were not quite as incredible.
Have you ever met anyone that's used the insulation from the jeans?
One more time, buddy. This is out of focus. Sorry.
Is there anyone who inspires you?
Ask more about where they live now and how you get in contact with them and stuff.
Can you rephrase that? What, even if it's not real, you take one.
Boom! Perfect. You are.
Oh, I wasn't.
You are a filmmaker.
Not a real person.
Hey, Evie girl, can you ask that question again without reading it?
And try not to lift your dress up. While our filmmaking skills left much to be desired, we had plenty of time to practice over the weeks and months ahead. And who better to learn from than changemakers who are using technology to make the world a better place?
Finding screen addiction is taking a toll on children.
Researchers with the American Academy of Pediatrics say some kids are spending as many as 7 hours a day in front of screens.
So when does it become an addiction?
Half of all young people feel they are addicted to their devices.
These little smartphone devices and these tablets literally change the way the brain's being rewired.
Children think they cannot live if they left their iPad at home, or they cannot live if they're going on a trip without their iPhone.
In Cambridge, Massachusetts, we got to explore historic Harvard University with Sri Bose, the co-founder of Piper. We're creating these little hacker toolkits that basically are aimed to teach kids about technology and computer science through playing Minecraft. But it was very, very tied to the whole STEM education, like getting kids involved in science, getting especially girls involved in science. It was like something I thought was very cool. So I was traveling all of last week to like a bunch of different events talking about this and demoing this everywhere.
Wow.
And I'm doing a lot of the like marketing and organization and operation stuff from here. So I think my dream for STEM education is just that kids all over the world recognize how amazing science and technology and engineering and math can be.
And you're doing that with Piper.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I hope to do. Before heading west, we stopped in Washington, D.C., where we connected with the Means database team and got to meet Maria Rose Belding and Grant Nelson.
MEANS is an acronym, so it stands for Matching, Access, and Need for Stability. And basically, it's a long title to say that we help people move things around before they expire so we can feed more people. I grew up in a church that had a food shelf, and so when I was really, really little, I was always moving cans around. And I got older, and I started working there more, and I realized that this was a big problem and that we needed to do better. So that's kind of where MEANS comes from.
The way MEANS works is if you're a food bank or a food pantry, so you say, show me food within this many miles, so say 50 miles. So here's an example of what it would look like if there was, say, carrots nearby. So if I'm a food bank and say I want this, right, I log in, I click claim it, and then right now what it's doing is checking to make sure no one else already claimed it and emailing the people that posted it.
When I talked to a director of a food shelf here in Washington, D.C., and I told her about what we were building, and she just started to cry. And I was like, oh, what did I do? Like, I was just like, you must be having such an awful day, and I felt so bad. And I was like, why are you crying? And she was just like, do you have any idea how much this is gonna help? And I was just like, my heart swelled several sizes.
Spending so much time together on the road had an interesting effect on our family. At first, it took a while for us to get used to living in such close quarters.
Thanks to my parents, we've had the opportunity to hang out at a timeshare for the last few days. It's been really nice.
But over time, the stories, obstacles, and victories we experienced began to bring our family closer than ever before.
We get to see each other and have similar experiences and be with each other and understand each other and read stories together and listen to music and sing together, and it's been really nice to just have each other to ourselves.
A new survey says the loneliest generation is Gen Z.
Loneliness is a major threat to Americans' mental, physical, and emotional well-being.
With teens, it's especially worrisome because that's a really crucial time for emotional development.
When you're not having face-to-face interaction, you're not developing social skills, and we need that both in the classroom and in life.
That's when you start to see the link to these mental health issues.
As we headed through the North and West, we interviewed changemakers who help others struggling with loneliness. In Wisconsin, our family spent a beautiful morning with Jasmine Espinosa, where we learned about Mohican culture and the Warrior Circle Project.
I was actually bullied in school a lot, and after I got taken out of school and I became homeschooled, I seen that there was a lot more bullying, and I decided that there should be a safe place for kids to be able to go to express themselves and to talk about things like that and other issues that they'd face in their lifetime. I'm Mohican and I live on my reservation. There are a lot of statistics that are increasingly higher than the national average or that of other ethnicities. So the suicide rate is 250 times higher than that of the national average. And there's prevalent alcohol abuse and substance abuse as well as sexual violence. And I believe that the first step to tackling a problem is being aware of it. So I work on a lot of awareness and being able to explain these problems in a way that the kids will be able to understand.
In Minnesota, we got to spend the entire day with Shauna Decker, the co-founder of Brighter Tomorrows.
When I was 7 years old, I was diagnosed with cancer myself. So I had bone cancer in my knee. I was in the hospital for almost a year getting chemotherapy. And we kind of, as a family, did it alone. We didn't really have anybody to support us. So after I was done, I thought, hey, people need somebody to be there for them when they're going through something hard. So that's what I wanted to do. My family and 3 other families started a nonprofit organization. What we do is we get together once a month and we help anybody who has a child with cancer, give them a meal. We take the kids and do kid stuff. Parents get time to be together and support each other. And then we also host big family events. And then I personally will spend time with the kids with cancer in the hospital or have them at my house or take them out to eat or help them when they have their amputations and just kind of be their friend when they don't really have a friend. Being in a hospital for a year kind of by yourself it's pretty lonely stuff. It was just kind of like hard, but then also a good time to learn about the value of not being lonely and getting to do just normal things in life. I think that God has me here for the time that He wants to use me to show love to other people.
In Montana, we met Nina Gamel, who created a unique pen pal program.
I'm a people person. I really, really love people. I love old people, I love young people. I want people to be happy and I want people to learn more about different cultures. So I wanted to create a pen pal project between Japan and America, and I thought, how about senior citizens in Japan and America? These senior citizens living in Japan, they experienced the earthquake and tsunami 5 years ago, and they were in a lot of shock and pain and heartache, and they lost family and they lost their homes and just so much. And I knew I wanted to kind of uplift their spirit somehow. That's how I'm trying to make the world better, connect people from different continents and educate them about different cultures.
We were finally starting to get into a rhythm on this journey. But the morale was about to be tested as we approached the midpoint in our journey and learned firsthand about the ugly history of America's struggle with civil rights. In Alabama, we interviewed Micah Briggs and learned about civil rights in both the past and the present.
My parents have always talked about, and we've always had open conversations about civil rights, and my mom's always worked in civil rights, and I've always gone with her to demonstrations and to work and to other things. It's fun and it's kind of scary at the same time. Like recently, when all the things happened in Ferguson, we had a demonstration actually here, like across the street in Kelly Ingram Park. And a lot of people came and we marched and we held signs and we kind of just taught people and raised awareness about what was going on. So for example, we had one in the gallery, and so everyone went into the mall And at a certain time, they all laid on the ground, like as if they were dead. If you're laying out on the ground, and there's tons of people doing it, people can't really walk around the mall and do their shopping. Like, a lot of people don't like to think about these sort of things, and they just ignore it when they hear it on the news. You're forcing them to learn something that they don't really want to hear about or learn themselves.
What advice do you have for other kids who want to help others and change the world?
I definitely say that they need to take risk. I tell them it's okay to not be comfortable. We're learning things that are uncomfortable, and if it's uncomfortable for you, then you're going to strive even harder to make it change and to make it more comfortable for everyone. You're the biggest obstacle for yourself, like your mind. So you have to think outside of that and be okay with being different.
Today we went to Selma as part of our February studies on the Civil Rights Movement. We got to walk the bridge, we got to go to a couple of museums, we got to learn with the kids. Coming to the city was amazing.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Definitely my favorite part was we got to meet a 94-year-old man, Henry Smiley. He walked 2 of the marches, and then the 3rd march he drove and carried people back and forth along the march.
Henry actually got to meet Dr. King.
He knew all the leaders here in Selma. Just an incredibly generous guy.
In my neighbor's home, I'm gonna let it shine.
Just really love it. Because he could have thought so many things of hatred to white people, but he just loved them.
I want love to define me, and I think love definitely defined him.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
As we continued on our journey, we realized just how much we were shaken by what we had experienced in the South. America's history of injustice and current tragedies happening all over the country made our changemakers look small. Are the problems of our world just too big for kids to make a difference? As we headed into the hardest leg of our journey, these questions turned into doubts, and these doubts were only magnified by Gen Z's challenges with physical and mental health.
America is facing a major health crisis.
The World Health Organization says the number of obese children and teens is now 10 times higher than it was 40 years ago.
In fact, 1 in 3 children right here in the state of Michigan is either overweight or obese.
The problem is more than just physical.
Child and adolescent mental health disorders are the most common illnesses that children will experience.
We are seeing a 30% increase in suicide in America in the last 30 years.
Psychologist Jean Twangy argues this generation is on the verge of the most severe mental health crisis for young people in decades.
More fit the criteria for clinical level depression, more being admitted to the emergency room for self-harm, and more are committing suicide.
The brain doesn't kind of keep a record of mental health versus physical health. It's just our health.
Way to go, Idaho!
On the West Coast, we interviewed young changemakers working in mental and physical health. In Washington, we cooked a delicious meal with Amber Kelly, the creator of Cook with Amber.
I got teased because I had healthy school lunches because I had grown up with a pretty healthy lifestyle. They all thought, oh, you have healthy lunches, you have disgusting lunches. And so I wanted everyone else to know that you could have really delicious food that was also good for you. So I just filmed a YouTube video. People actually started to like it, so we were filming more and more, and now it's so much fun and it's amazing. We were just filming videos for fun at first. It was just for fun, but as it got more serious, we were filming more often, and we started Facebook and Instagram and, you know, the social medias. Then we got a website, and I guess we were really just trying to share our family recipes, and here we are. I just want to spread the message to kids and adults that you can eat really delicious food that's also good for you, and that you can just make little changes in your life so that you have a healthier lifestyle, and it has a huge impact. So you don't have to cut it up, you're just going to dump that in that pot.
Leaving the van and trailer behind, we boarded a plane to Alaska, where we met Catherine Casello, the founder of You're Not Alone, an organization committed to suicide prevention.
Are you Catherine? Yes, I am. I'm Eva. It's good to meet you.
My project is suicide prevention, so I'm trying to reach out to youth in Alaska and figure out a way for us to, as a community, support each other and try to bring down the rates of suicide. The rates of Alaskan suicides with youth is the highest. It's higher than the national average. My junior year, I had a close friend of mine who made an attempt on his own life. He's okay now. He's, safe and alive, and he's doing a lot better. Okay. But, once that happened, I realized that I maybe would be able to do something for other people. The class that I teach is part of an evidence-based suicide prevention class. It's called QPR. It's a gatekeeper training class. QPR is question, persuade, refer. So you start by learning about some of the signs and symptoms of suicide, and some of the causes, and we try to clear up some myths and facts about suicide, and then we go through how to safely ask someone if they're suicidal, what are some things that you can say or do to help someone who's having a hard time, and then how to get them to an adult. I think that no matter what you decide to make your cause, the first thing you have to do is try to get as much education as possible.
It was nice to interview you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You were a good interviewee.
Thank you.
Passing the halfway mark gave our family a big boost. And even though we were sometimes tired of living in the trailer, these amazing kids and new friends we were making made us want to keep going. But we were definitely way past the honeymoon stage. Having to deal with the daily grind, maintaining our van and trailer, and dealing with the obstacles along the way sometimes got old. But road problems we could handle. The hard part was dealing with challenges that hit close to home.
Hey Abby, what's going on?
Oh, today I was bouncing on a ball and I fell on my left wrist.
They're gonna straighten out her arm so that everything's back the way it's supposed to be. They said that it's a buckle fracture, so you don't see it broken, it's just more bent. It'll probably be about 6 weeks altogether that she needs to be in a cast, but she'll go tonight with just a splint. So we'll figure that out, okay?
Evie is normally the most energetic member of our family, so her injury definitely had an effect on the rest of us. But Evie is one tough cookie, and we knew it wouldn't slow her down for long.
I love you.
I love you too.
Some experts say we're raising a generation of narcissists.
People who are narcissistic need to be a celebrity.
That's because the empathy center is on a downturn where we don't care as much as we used to. We don't feel bad for those kinds of situations.
Amongst young people, when you ask them what do they want to do with their lives, would you like a family, be successful financially, they'll often put fame as the primary motivation.
So why the change in values? The answers may be in the brain.
If you look at the screen for more than 5 hours a day on a regular basis, your frontal lobe begins to shrink. And why that's significant is, guess what's stored in the frontal lobe? Well, empathy and reward.
We could be developing a generation that cares less about other people.
As we returned to the South, we met changemakers who taught us about empathy. We started in Florida with someone who has been teaching empathy through action since he was 4 years old, Joshua Williams, the president of Joshua's Heart Foundation.
When I was 4.5, I saw a homeless man on the way to church. He had a sign, a cardboard sign, which said, "Need food, need money. I'm hungry." I first saw that hunger was in our nation. It was in our neighborhood. It was right next to us. I first looked for a foundation that could, help, where I could help out, where I could volunteer my time. And I didn't find any. It was hard to find any that allowed young kids to help out. I had to find out how we could help out in a different way. So I decided to give out food in a distribution sort of way, which is what we do now. So on a typical distribution day, let's say we're having it at a school in a cafeteria, we'll clear the area of all of the tables and we'll have a U-Haul truck come in. And basically we'd have all our volunteers who are at the event take the food out and pack it on top of tables that we have set up, kind of like aisles in a supermarket. And then you leave with a week to 2 weeks worth of groceries. We have 7 large distributions a year, and we have small weekly distributions, and we also have a backpack program. We have over 2,500 youth volunteers who are active and who we can call upon to help out in the community. And it's all about that teamwork and that community effort to help out those who are in need.
I decided to join Joshua's Heart Foundation because Joshua and all of his volunteers are making a difference. And to see the smiles on the people that we're actually helping, it's made a difference in me too.
My dream for my foundation is to first of all go nationally and then internationally as a foundation and start helping as many people as we can, get a lot of more youth involved, and be able to have more fundraisers.
What advice would you give to other kids who want to help others and change the world?
I would just tell them to always, remember where they came from, never give up, always be persistent about anything that you do, and again, never give up. That's the most important rule.
In Louisiana, we had the privilege of interviewing Elijah Evans, the founder of No Use for Abuse.
With No Use for Abuse, I'm striving to make the world a better place for children and foster children and just child welfare in general. My inspiration to help foster children came from whenever I was 2 years old. I was a victim of child abuse. I was burned by my biological mother, and from then on, after that, they took me out of her placement and put me in the placement of my grandmother, where then she also neglected me by not taking me to my doctor's appointments. So then the state placed me in a foster home. And during that time, I had an excellent experience overall. And then I was adopted. And from that experience, I realized that I could really help children who've gone through the same things I've gone through. I host an event called Christmas of Hope. We host it usually a couple days before Christmas to have that same season experience. And each child writes basically a wish list, like you would write to Santa. And we take everything and they write it in detail, if they want clothes, the shirt sizes, everything. And we go shopping for it. It's a long and tedious process, but it's worth it in the long run. This year, we actually had 220 foster kids we were shopping for. So it was a total of about 2 weeks where we had to get those lists and really go shopping. We also give them a day of fun where you would have different events going on family-wise. You would have different games and food and Santa pictures and characters, and we just try to make it as fun as possible that day.
Well, Elijah's No Use for Abuse, I think, has done several things. First of all, it's given hope and joy to those children at Christmas time. But it's done so much more by spreading the word that if we just help each other, that we can make this world a better place.
I say my inspiration is any person or people who make something negative into positive.
So how you feeling today, sister?
I'm feeling way better than I first broke my arm.
As Evie recovered, we refocused on the road and realized that there was another big issue starting to surface.
So the last few weeks has been a lot harder than the first 10 and a half months.
When we were getting ready to go to Yellowstone, we ran out of money. And it was really stressful.
At the beginning of the trip, we had cash. We didn't have a lot, but we always had enough to put gas in the car. We always had enough to buy groceries when we needed to.
Today we went to the grocery store and we only had $10. And we spent almost all of it, but we had to be really careful and try to figure out what can we buy that will fill the kids' bellies. It's really weird being in that position where you just want to give your kids whatever they're wanting, and you can't really do that.
At first, we kept a lot of the details from the kids and tried to let the beauty of the Rockies distract us. Sometimes it stinks being out in the rain, but sometimes you get that, huh?
Yeah.
But we knew that if more donations didn't come in soon, we would run out of time.
Generation Z may be pushing companies even further than their predecessors did.
They're very motivated. You know, they're ambitious. They want to get ahead.
Why? Because they've had a front row seat to seeing how much of student debt has burdened the millennial generation.
They want to design and build new technologies to address the issues they care about and solve the world's complex problems.
Across the U.S., we met young entrepreneurs who inspired us with their creativity and hearts to serve others. In Texas, 2 of these young entrepreneurs were sisters Catherine and Isabel Adams, the founders of Paper for Water.
We are trying to make the world a better place by giving people in other countries clean water.
We make origami ornaments and we take donations for them, and all of the proceeds go to our drilling company, Living Water, and then they go out to the country and drill the water. The typical well ranges from $10,000 to $20,000, and that includes 2 years of sanitation training and hygiene, and just they teach them what to do with the clean water, because if you have, like, let's say you have dirty buckets and you go to get clean water, well, when you put the water in your bucket, it's going to get it all dirty, and so there would be no point of a well. A lot of people have to walk sometimes 7 miles to get water, both ways. 743 million school days are missed each year because kids have to walk so many miles and they can't go to school. So our volunteers do all sorts of things. Some of them fold paper, or they teach other people how to fold, or we have volunteers who work with PR and our Facebook site or website, and just make posters or really anything, whatever you're good at. We built them at orphanages and schools, and we also can build them like in towns, but their goal is so the children or people who are hauling the water don't have to walk more than half an hour. Our long-term dream is to give the whole world clean, fresh water, as well as the living water of Jesus.
As we headed back to California, we met another young entrepreneur, Sonali Ranawira, the creator of Recycling for Smiles.
I'm trying to make the world a better place through my charity, Recycling for Smiles, by helping others in need and helping the environment. For Christmas in 2011, my parents had given my brother and I each $100, and they told us to use it to make a difference, in someone's life. I learned about Smile Train, which is a charity that provides cleft lip surgeries for kids who are born with this condition. And after learning about it and everything, I decided, wow, I would really like to donate to this cause. I found out that to help a single cleft lip fix, the surgery costs $250, and I'm like, but I only have $100, so how am I going to come up with the rest of the money? I was in 6th grade at the time, and I had learned in my science class that you can make money from recycling. Recycling for Smiles is a charity where we collect cans, bottles, and glass, so recyclables, and we redeem it all for money, and 100% of the money we make from the recycling goes to good causes. Us as human beings, one of the best things we can do is help others.
We knew that these stories actually mattered. Unfortunately, it did not calm our fears about our financial situation.
We were sitting at a gas station needing to get gas.
And the Fractured Atlas money was already spent then. And we were waiting on the money from the friend. And we waited and we looked online to see if it came to the bank, and it didn't come. And we waited and we prayed and we asked God, what should we do? And we didn't get any answers.
I knew the kids had some money. They had more money than we did.
We knew they had some money from birthdays and things like that. And we hardly ever spent any money because we're always doing free stuff.
And so I said, can you loan us some of your money? And we promise we will pay you back. We promise that we will someday pay you back.
Jack didn't have any money, but both of the girls did, and they both dug in and selflessly gave. And part of it felt bad, like, oh, why are we having to ask our kids to help us?
I hope that was okay for us to ask the kids. I didn't feel awesome about it, but I feel like humbled by their willingness to help us out and invest in this project too.
And then part of it felt really great. Like, our kids are not so tied to their money that they're not willing to help. It's a totally selfless thing to do.
Miraculously, the girls' generosity took us through Yellowstone, and then money started coming in for gas and food from both sponsors and friends. The girls' sacrifice of their money saved us for the time being, and it reminded us that the generosity of kids can have an important impact on adults, including us.
One of the most special moments was the opportunity to meet the changemaker who had started it all, Jack and Draca.
Well, I actually really got into cancer research after a close family friend who was like an uncle to me passed away from pancreatic cancer, and currently there isn't really a way of detecting these cancers in the earliest stages when survival is at its best. So I set out with 8th grade biology to change how we did cancer diagnostics. And then I had this like kind of epiphany moment in my biology class where I just combined like this one scientific concept with this other one and put 2 and 2 together. And if you code a piece of paper with that, then essentially what you end up with is like a paper sensor for whatever you want. Pancreatic cancer, ovarian cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's. I got 199 rejections though from labs. Finally got into one, and 7 months later I ended up with a paper sensor for pancreatic cancer. Anything is possible. I mean, I was just some random 9th grader who didn't know what pancreas was, and I was able to come up with a new way to detect pancreatic cancer. So the whole message is just imagine what you could do. And no matter what your passion is, whether it's music or cooking or math, you can go out there and change the world. Never give up on your ideas, because you're going to be the greatest advocate for your ideas. And if you don't believe in them, then who will? It only takes one yes or one breakthrough to really change the world.
Maybe if we didn't give so much attention to all the negative news and started celebrating the amazing things people are already doing to make the world better, even more people would be inspired to do good. Maybe if we started focusing more on the good than the bad would start to overcome the bad, and we'd see real change take place. The journey back to California wasn't without its problems.
So I'm waiting on hold with AAA because the car batteries died while we were taking a picture. Pulled in to get some gas, and the guy at the station noticed that we had a screw in our tire. We're getting ready to go to bed, and we found ants, which is awesome.
But as soon as we returned to our home state, we knew that we were different.
You used to be on the road.
All of us.
What did you say, Jack?
After 14 life-changing months, our time on the road was finally over.
But we're going back to live in this house for the first time in 14 months. This is the first night we'll be sleeping in here in over a year.
Once we got back to California, we knew we had to tell the world about the kids we met. So, we started traveling to libraries, churches, schools, and colleges, sharing the stories of what we learned from these young changemakers.
Yeah, the hope is that if we know exactly what makes kids want to make the world better, then we can help other kids learn and get excited about trying to make the world better too.
So some of you might be thinking, change the world? That sounds really hard.
What they were doing was they were using things that they already love to do to try to help people.
Every changemaker we met had some kind of spark experience. Something that they loved to do, maybe something that they saw that needed to be addressed in their world, or an experience that they had in the past.
And they paired those experiences to things that they love, things that they're good at, or things that they know.
So Joshua Start all started because of a passion and a hobby that I had, and eventually it grew into something more.
The things that you find normal, such as Christmas, the beginning of the school year, different family events. She showed me what normal felt like, and I wanted to give that to other kids.
And do you know what has motivated us and made us excited to get up every single day? Our accountability to God.
Hi, I'm Evie, and I started my project, Evie's Dog Treats, because I wanted to be a changemaker too. I'm making homemade dog treats and selling them, and the money that I get will go to an organization that makes houses in Haiti.
I asked myself the 3 questions: what do I love, what am I good at, and what do I know? And I found that I love dogs, I'm pretty good at baking, and I know that families in Haiti are still living intense years after the big earthquake in 2010. I started by finding a nonprofit organization in Haiti that builds homes that can withstand earthquakes and storms. Then I found a recipe for dog treats and started selling them at dog parks and local farmers markets.
I have raised $40.
And how much do you need to raise to reach your, or how much is your goal?
$3,000.
Okay, you're well on your way.
Guess what I just did? I finished filling in my goal thermometer.
This summer, I met my goal of $3,000 to build a home for a family in need.
How long have you been doing this, Evie?
2 years.
Almost 2 years. And we're done. How's that make you feel?
Awesome.
This January, I get to go to Haiti with my family to see how Maxima, the nonprofit organization in Haiti, is building homes for families to live in. And I'm still raising money to make the house better or even help more families who need a safe home to live in. My project is pretty simple, but it's helping people who have real needs be able to live in a safe home.
So often, there are perceived needs in the world that don't actually line up with the actual needs of people. But if you start talking to these people, developing a relationship with them, listening to them, then you start to learn how to connect your story to theirs. Learn to serve, learn to listen, ask a million questions. And then slowly and surely, you're going to dig down deep into your own story and start to recognize how to make the connections between who you really are deep down inside and your role in being part of changing the world.
So now it's your turn. What do you love? What are you good at? And what do you know? Ready, set, go!
Oh passion, but don't forget to love. We can shape but can't control these possibilities to grow. Weeds amongst the push and pull, waiting on the wind to take us.